So how many of us would like to lose a few pounds and maybe cure our bloating forever? It's very easy to be tempted by the never-ending range of miracle cures and quick fixes that are being promoted to us online, in the shops and by our friends. We are being promised unrealistic results with minimum work, and of course we are tempted. Who likes putting in hard work when there is an easy way out promised to you? Now, unfortunately, there isn't a wonder diet that will help you lose weight and actually keep it off. There is no magic quick fix solution to weight loss or bloating that you can buy or follow long term without risking some serious nutritional or medical concerns. So today we will delve into the myths and the magic of fad diets. And this is a topic that I think would be interesting for you guys because I get asked about it over and over again. Now, whether I'm out working on the wards at the hospital that I work in, or I'm meeting my clients in clinic, or I'm simply at the bus stop, or I'm ordering a coffee, as soon as someone realizes that they're speaking to a dietitian, I find that I have questions thrown at me about the latest diet craze, supplement, or celebrity weight loss journey. So guys, in today's video, I hope to cover some of the facts and myths about fad diets. We will look at the signs to watch out for when trying to spot a fad diet. We'll look at the dieting cycle and why we are so prone to seeing our weights yo-yoing over time. And I'll also delve a little into the risks and benefits of trying different diets. And I hope to end with some of my top non-fad diet tips to help you eat a healthier diet yourself. Hey again guys, I'm Didi. I'm an Irish-based consultant dietitian, blogger and vlogger with Didititian.com. Now, when I'm not living in this online space, I spend my time working with you in person to help you achieve your own healthy goals, be it in one-to-one coaching or in group work sessions. Now, on this channel, I post videos about healthy eating, healthy guts, and healthy habits. I'm a big supporter of evidence-based nutrition information, so do expect the occasional research review thrown into the mix. But guys, I am also here to answer your questions, be it via a reply to your comment down below or through a video dedicated to your very own particular question. So be sure to subscribe for new content every 2 weeks and comment below to introduce yourself because I can't wait to hear from you. So just to start off, what is a fad diet? Well, there are many variations of fad diets, but usually it's an eating plan where you eat a relatively restricted diet with only a few foods or a strange combination of foods in order to lose weight or achieve a certain health outcome. Now, these may include things like reduced bloating, clearer skin, and so forth. And often these plans are so restrictive that people get fed up with the restrictions and start eating more again afterwards, choosing unhealthy foods and usually gaining weight. Now, I do have to give it to you that the healthy eating advice that us dietitians advocate for is not half as glamorous as some of the fad diets out there. A big difference between fad diets and the advice that your dietitian will give you is that our advice has to be based on very thorough scientific evidence. In university, I spent 4 years studying a whole range of different aspects of science, including chemistry, human physiology, public health, and medication. And one of the biggest reasons that we spent all this time learning about these aspects of science is that it gave us plenty of practice on reading scientific journals and interpreting the information in them. Through classes then in psychology and behavioural science, we learned how to turn this very complicated scientific information into simple and clear messages that are easy to understand for the general public. Now, when it comes to fad diets, I always just get this sense that there's a sincere disconnect between what the research is telling us and what the public is being told about this research. For example, if a small study shows that rats lose weight when they eat cabbages for breakfast, a fad diet can easily run with this and say that, oh yeah, cabbage breakfasts are the best way to lose weight. But by reading into the science a little bit more deeply, an evidence-based response to the study would be, for example, that further human trials are needed before we can say for sure if humans will have the same response to eating cabbages for breakfast. And so maybe cabbage will not be featuring on my breakfast meal plan until we know for sure that it works, that it's safe, and that it's actually something that you guys can keep up with. But yeah, I do recognize that healthy eating isn't very glamorous. Science will rarely be able to say that adding a single food item into your diet will 100% help you lose weight, or that cutting out another food group will help you cure your acne. Magic, big promises, emotions, and celebrities rarely feature in science, and so it's hard for science to stand out on social media or on supermarket shelves, right? Eat your 5 fruit and vegetables a day and perhaps, maybe, you might see a small reduction in your weight. Not as exciting as telling people that gluten is evil and that fat is the reason that you are or are not losing weight, depending on who you ask and what fad diet you follow. So to help you spot that fad diet from a mile away, let's take a look at the different ingredients that go into creating your very own fad diet. So first of all, you will want to add a big dose of your magical solution. Make sure that the magic bullet requires minimal effort and will mean that you will not have to change your lifestyle in the slightest. Now, although avoiding a food group or binging excessively on a food you don't like may seem like a big lifestyle change, By taking the decision-making over eating away from your customer and telling them exactly how, what and when to eat, you are taking away some of the effort of their dieting. Now, if your magical solution will mean that people have to buy your bars, your shakes, your tablets, your books, it's even better, because people are happy to spend money when you can promise them that that is the only bit of effort they have to put in. Next, I want you to add a sprinkle of emotional triggers. Make sure you really play on those heartstrings and take a few punches at your customers' insecurities. Body image, confidence, popularity and health, very little is out of bounds here. The next step in our fad diet recipe is adding a good dollop of big results. Promise results that are simply too good to be true. Anything more than 2 pounds of weight loss a week will hit that fad diet sweet spot. Why not show photoshopped before and after images? Maybe have a fitness model follow your plan for a day and let him or her tell the world that their chiseled physique was not down to their strenuous exercise plan or their carefully balanced diet, but because they swear by your tea or shake. Now, before you add anything else at this stage, make sure you skim off any evidence base from your fad diet mix. Your solid, healthy eating advice or food pyramid mentions need to be eradicated. However, you can leave any references to small research studies, any research done on rats or mice, maybe some case studies, or your personal journey. So then, on top of this dose of magical solution, mixed with emotional triggers and promises of big results, I want you to stir in a fear of mainstream healthy eating advice or medical advice. Create an element of doubt as to whether the trained healthcare professionals actually know what they're talking about. Consider sprinkling in a little conspiracy theory about the government, pharmaceutical industry, the dairy industry. Doing so will help people to stray away from evidence-based treatment altogether and drive them towards you and your fad diet in no time. Now lastly, make sure that you package your product with a significant endorsement by influencers and celebrities. They don't even need to try your fad diet, they just need to talk about it. Why not get them to mention it on Instagram, Facebook and on TV? Of course, it was not their personal trainer, their one-to-one sessions with a dietitian, and the hard work they put into their fitness and physique that led them to achieving their weight loss goals. It was your fad diet. Now guys, of course I'm exaggerating a little here, and not every fad diet meets each of these criteria, but I feel so passionate about this because I've seen some of the consequences of fad diets from the perspective of the healthcare professional. I have met people on very restrictive carnivore or keto diets who were missing out on social activities due to low energy levels. I have treated vulnerable girls and guys moving from one restrictive diet to the next, ending up with food phobias and early signs of eating disorders. In the hospital setting, I was strongly asked by a patient's family members to feed my patient, who was in a coma, green smoothies rather than medical grade nutritional feed. I mean, needless to say, I had to strongly decline the family's request, as decades worth of research had highlighted that this gentleman needed a careful blend of proteins, carbs and fats and micronutrients to optimize his recovery. So fad diets do not come without risks. Firstly, fad diets are a time waster. Studies show that the majority of people who start a fad diet will have regained their weight within a year. Now, by spending your effort and time on a fad diet, you are not spending it on building sustainable healthy eating habits. Rather than losing 10 pounds in a week and regaining 15 over the next 9 weeks, you've missed out on an opportunity to have lost those 10 pounds at a much slower but more sustainable pound a week rate. Now, another concern is that some of these fad diets may actually be dangerous for your health. Some fad diets may lead to nutritional deficiencies, mineral bone disease, or even malnutrition. And for those of us with a medical condition, a fad diet may go against some of the recommendations for your condition, and hence can stop us from getting the most out of our treatments or our medication. And then another thing I'm finding is that, as I mentioned in my recipe for fad diets, they often seem to create this element of mistrust and fear in qualified healthcare professionals. So this mistrust or fear of the medical profession or the dietetic profession can often lead people to, first of all, not follow medical advice, or occasionally even completely disconnect with evidence-based medical treatments. And examples of this are far too regularly seen in the media, where people with cancer, for example, choose to opt for non-medical treatments and dietary measures rather than for chemo or surgery. And then another risk is that people are getting caught in a fad diet cycle. I'm sure we've all heard or experienced yo-yoing weights before. And as I mentioned already, research shows that people who start a fad diet are likely to regain their weight within a year. And often they regain their original weight plus a little more. Now, I'd like to take a closer look actually, guys, at the fad dieting cycle. It's important to be aware that long-term weight loss is a complex dance where you try to balance 3 key elements. And these are calories, nutrition and psychology. And often fad diets interrupt one or more of these 3 elements so severely that the balance cannot be found and the diet becomes unsustainable. Firstly, looking at calories. Yes, we eat food because it provides us with energy or calories, and we need energy not just to exercise, but to keep our hearts beating, our lungs breathing, our brains thinking. So yes, we can cut down on calories to help us lose some weight, but ultimately we do need a certain amount of calories to keep our energy levels up. Healthy weight loss is based on eating slightly less calories than our body uses up, so as to not to feel excessively hungry. Fad diets, however, can often dip calorie intakes to below 800 calories a day, which is an unsustainable and uncomfortable calorie deficit, sure to leave you feeling groggy and drained. Next, our body obviously doesn't just live on calories, because food gives us nutrition. It gives us proteins, fats, carbs, vitamins, minerals and fluid, all of which are needed to keep our bodies functioning. Again, a healthy balanced weight loss diet will usually meet all of your nutrient needs, but the more restrictive a fad diet becomes, the less likely you are of meeting all your key nutrients. And lastly, we cannot ignore the role that food plays in our psychological and social systems. We eat food to celebrate, we eat food to meet with family, to mark special occasions. The plain old dietetic mantra of everything in moderation actually does allow us to recognise the role of celebratory, enjoyable foods. Chocolate, ice cream, chips, no food is out on a true healthy eating plan as long as we don't have them every day or in large portions. But fad diets like to skip over the special role that food plays on our psyche, pretending that an all or nothing approach is the only way to a healthy life. And believe me, the more that a food becomes forbidden, the more you start to crave it. So when you start a fad diet and we know that our calorie, nutrient and psychological needs are not appropriately met, you risk falling into the fad dieting cycle. And this dieting cycle would go something like this, okay? So we start our green smoothie diet, and I'm sure within 1 or 2 days we see a little bit of weight loss, and we're sure delighted with ourselves. However, soon we might go out for a meal with our friends and we're sitting there with our green smoothie and we're starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable. We see everybody around us eating solid food and we're starting to get a little niggle, maybe a craving starts coming up. Yeah, we might be able to resist this time around, however, it's unlikely that we will be able to continue resisting these cravings over the next few weeks when we meet with other friends for dinner. And then when we finally do give in, which is only natural given that we are not just nutritionally but also psychologically and socially deprived, we are left feeling guilty. And then we move on to feeling like a failure. I knew I couldn't follow this diet. I knew I was too weak to ever be able to eat healthily and lose weight. And this sense of guilt and failure often leads to emotional eating, with the obvious result of gaining weight. And so we're not just back to where we started, but we may even be heavier than we started, and now with a lower self-esteem. And it pains me to see people on this cycle. Weight loss isn't easy, but it's also definitely not impossible. Fad diets make weight loss look like this mystical creature only to be captured by the ultra-privileged few who can afford that expensive diet tea and have time to cook those incredibly complicated alkaline spiralized vegan recipes. But that person isn't me. That person isn't most of us. And so weight loss seems simply impossible. And what if I told you that I had the magic bullet of sustainable weight loss? I could try and spruce it up, call it Didi's diet hacking diet plan. But ultimately my code of practice does not allow me to promise guaranteed results and exaggerate on the evidence. But what I can say is that the next few simple, achievable, approachable and sustainable healthy eating habits are known to help people to live healthier lives and promote healthier weights. So here we go. Tip number 1, keep a food diary. Self-monitoring is a great habit that is known to lead to healthier diets. By keeping a food diary, you can start to monitor your habits, and you will soon start finding aspects of your diet that could use some improvement. So tip number 2, have regular and balanced meals. Erratic eating does not do your weight any favours. Stick to 3 meals and 2 small healthy snacks a day, and make sure you include a half a plate of fruit and vegetables, some whole grain carbs and some low fat protein with every meal. Tip number 3, balance that fat. Fat does have double the calories compared to protein and carbs, so choose lower fat meat and dairy options where you can. Tip number 4, watch your portion sizes. So our plates have grown exponentially in size over the past decades. Choose a smaller portion than usual and see your weight coming down with it. Tip number 5, be realistic. Sustainable weight loss is no more than 1 or 2 pounds a week. This is a mere fraction what some of those popular fad diets will promise you, but weight loss at a faster rate than this is unlikely to be just fat loss. Many people also lose muscle if they would lose weight too quickly, so don't be disheartened when you see a pound down on the scales. That is such a great achievement and worth celebrating, with a non-food reward such as a walk in the park or a visit to the cinema, of course. So there you have it, Didi's diet hacking diet plan, aka plain old healthy eating advice. So today we had a look at fad diets and the effects that they may have on our health. We looked at a little recipe to help us spot that fad diet from a mile away, and we reviewed some of the risks of fad diets. We explored some of the reasons that so many of us are stuck on that fad dieting cycle, and we looked also at how small healthy eating habits can lead to larger sustainable results. So in my next 2 videos, I will be taking a closer look at some of the most popular fad diets out there, and I'll be reviewing the role of dietary supplements in our diets. So be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell button on my channel page to get notified when my next video comes out. And comment the word fad down below if you feel that this video has equipped you to spot that fad diet from that mile away. And I hope to catch you guys on my Facebook, Twitter and Pinterest pages, where I'll keep the conversation going until my next video. I'll see you then. Bye!